Hello, this is Harvest. I'm back at it again with another in-depth guide, this time for Sword of Convallaria, a strategy game that came out, I think a couple of weeks ago that I've been really enjoying. And one of the things that I really enjoy about it are the deep tactical battles. I still think AFK Journey has the best sort of mix of tactical battles um, that I prefer, but Sword of Convallaria has proven to be a pretty good game that you can play on the side, and I encourage you to check it out if you're a fan of strategy games, tactical games, um, and the gacha system is not so overwhelming or even necessary actually to playing the game at a very high level, which I'll hopefully show you today. So I'm not going to go over the basics of Sword of Convallaria. I'm going to assume that you already know that, and there are plenty of other content creators on YouTube that cover all aspects of the game. I'm only going to be covering the more tactical aspects, like I always do. And so the thing that I will be covering today is, or are stages 6-5, 7-5, and 8-5 on the tower, because these are quite tricky, and I wanted to go over my approach to beating them, some units that you want to invest in that you probably haven't really considered, um, and basically approaches to beating the more difficult maps, and how I approach each one. So let's get right into it. So we'll start with 6-5. And you can see here that in all of my clears this week, there's one thing in common, which is Nightingale is in every single one of my teams. And Nightingale has quickly become one of my favorite units. And actually, it's thanks to another content creator called Purplatypus. I'll put his link to his channel in the description of this video. He was the first one to really highlight how powerful Nightingale is, and I'm using her basically everywhere in the tower. So she's really strong. And another thing you'll notice is that I very rarely use legendary units in the tower. And that's not because I don't want to, or because I don't have them. I mean, some of it is because, yeah, I haven't spent a lot of money on the game. I've spent under $50. But the other reason is that actually many of the epic heroes have kits that are actually better suited to pushing upper end of the content. And maybe I'll do a separate video on all of these heroes because they share similar traits. To sort of go over each one, but I'll only touch on them briefly if they're relevant to beating the stage. So we'll start with 6-5. Now, 6-5 is an interesting map, and I'm going to pause this here for a second and to sort of go over some of the key strategic things that I look into whenever I start a new stage. So the first thing you want to assess is the terrain. And you'll note that basically this map has a natural choke point here in the bottom part of the map, which you can easily miss. You can just sort of ignore it, right? Because there are no enemies here. But this is a really key feature of the map because you want to basically funnel your enemy through this initial choke point, which is where your characters start from, as well as these like very thin stairways that lead down into this dungeon area of the map. You wanna basically proceed here. Whereas if you attack head on, which you might be tempted to do because of these braziers that appear, right? If you attack head on, you're gonna be surrounded on three sides. So you're actually at a disadvantage, and also you're on the low ground as well. So it doesn't make sense to attack on three fronts and be attacked on three fronts when you can fall back, retreat, and now you're the one with the advantage because the enemy is coming through one choke point. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two is you always want to look for gravity kills on the map, because gravity kills or kills through water and drowning, basically, there's the enemy is so outscaling you in terms of HP and damage and defense that directly dealing damage to enemies is often not the correct way to play these upper levels at these low level when you're at such a low level, right? So gravity kills are really important to identify, and there are specifically two areas where that's possible, and it's these two sort of culverts or well-like areas at the bottom here. So we're going to try to take advantage of these watery areas to instantly kill the enemies. Now the boss, which is what's this guy's name? Guzman. He's immune to knockback. When you see this like white swirl around enemies, it means I think it always means that they're immune to any kind of control. At least so far, that's been my experience. So he's not going to be able to be cheesed by knocking into the water, but all the other units are going to be able to. Okay. So let's start the replay and see what happens. So I brought Papal Ice Priest here to throw down some ice so that it slows down the enemies on the left-hand side, because the enemies on the left are much closer to me than are the other enemies, and so I want to slow them down a little bit so that I can set up in the back area of the map. The Papal Ice Priest is also really important because he has a skill that has an AoE knockback ability. One of the, I think, few units that can actually do that. And he comes in clutch later with a few gravity kills. And then I used like Nightingale to light 9 hexes on fire, which also slows down the enemy and also deals damage. Now this damage, all the dots in this game do percentage-based damage, which is very helpful when you are pushing at a deficit, because, like I said earlier, because of the defensive stats of enemies, directly attacking them will not often work very well. You need to do percent scaling-based attacks, which are usually in the form of dots. So 400 a tick there, which is quite good, and I'm perfectly safe in the back. So I just keep retreating to the back, use some skills when I have an opening, and then keep setting up. So I brought Gloria, Mytha, and Papal Ice Priest for knockback abilities for gravity kills. Got in a nice AoE there. Pretty straightforward. Everyone is grouped. This is perfect for all my AoE abilities. But I'm just doing so much damage to them, I'm just gonna go ahead and attack directly. These mages aren't very much of a threat because they do channeling attacks. So you can always move out of the red area and not take any damage, and they waste a turn, basically. Another firebomb from Nightingale on this choke point so that these slimes continue to take dot damage as they come down. And it also slows their movement. The mages will not have any line of sight, so they're just going to keep doing this handling attack.
도와줘서 고마워요. 고마워.
So what I'm looking to do here now is use the Papal Ice Priest on these two slimes to knock them back into the water.
도와줘서 고마워요. 알겠습니다.
So the slimes perfectly line up. They're right next to the water. That gives me time for my Papal Ice Priest to use his Ice Tornado ability to knock them into the water, which should be coming up in the next turn. Yeah. And there you go. Instantly die.
분부하십시오.
Now I'm going to work on the boss. The boss, Guzman, has 2 lives, basically, so, and he's quite a threat. He can basically one-shot my units, so I want to cheese him as much as possible. So I start slowing him down, because he's a melee unit. Although he has a far-reaching grab attack doesn't do that much damage. So I'm just going to slow him down, whittle away at his life. I'm going to put the spear right in front of him so that he has to attack the spear, wasting a turn. He's already at half-life. These 2 mages still aren't doing any damage. Because they have no line of sight, they just keep channeling.
도와줘서 고마워요. 알겠어. 분부하십시오. 네.
I'm gonna speed things up because the rest of the map is just clear. The rest of the map is just clearing things up. So I just basically whittle away, slow down the melee boss, and then just get rid of 2 of his lives. I put one of the mages to sleep with my Nightingale. And then I bring my Mytha up on the flank to deal with the 2 mages.
도와줘서 고마워요. 분부하십시오.
There we go. This should be it. Pretty easy. The next one, it uses pretty much similar units, but I don't remember what it was. So let's see what it. Oh, okay. So this one, we're gonna use the same approach I started with, which is like analyzing the map and how to win. Okay, so obviously the boss has control immunity, as you can see with these white swirls. So, but also the same thing is true from the last map, which is the boss is a melee unit. So you want to take advantage of that by cutting the bosses and delaying his movement as much as possible. The other thing to note is that gravity kills are very possible on the map because there's just a lot of open areas. As long as the units don't have any immunity to knockback. You also notice that there are these purple clouds. These clouds ignite whenever you use an AoE attack on them, and they're a key feature of the map. You're going to see that I take advantage of like dealing basically the maximum amount of damage I can to the high defense enemies using these purple clouds, rather than relying on my own direct attacks. So yeah, as far as the units I've brought, nothing special. Basically, I think one of the key units here that you might not have ever seen before is this recruited assassin. The recruited assassin is not really much of an assassin. What he does is basically he's an invasion tank. Because if you bring Mytha here, she'll die in like one hit. So you need someone that can dodge, and the recruited assassin, a very low rarity unit, has something called fancy footwork, which gives him 2 dodges for 2 energy. And this comes in clutch because these 2 units at the front can one-shot my units. And so the dodge is really helpful at cutting through that. I also brought Gloria because her spear acts as a great way to block an enemy in this chokehold area. This like land bridge over the ravine. And so the enemy is forced to attack the spear or the flag, wasting their turn and saving one of my units from dying instantly from a one-shot. Other units I brought that are key is Lightning. Basically, I brought Lightning just for her long-range AoE attack to deal with the 2 archers here on the left-hand side. So let's see how this opening goes. Start with Urgent Order on my recruited assassin because he has very low speed. I want him to get in front of this miner guy and put his evasion up. Because otherwise the miner will walk up to any of my units and kill them in one shot. And then again, I plant the spear right in front of the assassin because I want to prevent him from moving. So the assassin is already dead. This miner is going to die shortly. And then these 2 archers die in one shot from my lightning due to the gas that explodes. So that's the first phase. The second phase is I moved my recruited assassin to this red card here at the top right, which I think gives my team a little extra movement and gives the recruited assassin an extra turn. I'm going to move him all the way to the top right to bait 1 or more of these melee units to go in the other direction. My goal here is to separate these mobs of melee units so that I can deal with hopefully the boss by himself. You also want to separate, whenever you see suppression, this gold guy here, whenever you see him, you want to separate him from any other melee units because he has an assisted defense ability, which is extremely annoying. He'll come in and take a shot for someone and also deal retaliation damage to you. So whenever you see him, you always want to separate him, peel him off, which is something you're going to see on this map as well as on the next map. So the way I peel him off is by sending my evasion tank to the top right, which baits suppression to attack him. And then I'm waiting with my units here to bait the boss into the gas so that I can explode it. Yeah. So suppression takes the bait. Actually, 2 units take the bait. I explode the gas cloud, deal about 20-25% damage. He still has a ton of life left, and he can one-shot any of my units. Move up lightning, do an attack. It does very little damage, only 100. So, like I said earlier, units that deal scaling damage based on percentage or do dots are key. Because lightning just did only 100 damage, which is pathetic, right? So these fire spots on the ground are going to deal dot damage. My Nightingale with her poison attacks are going to do penetration damage as well as dots. And then my Ballista here has defense penetration as well. So he actually can deal a lot of damage. But this map has a mutation that makes ranged attacks basically do only melee range. So Ballista can't just pepper these melee units with like supercharged shots. He's gonna have to go right in front of the melee units and basically attack like a melee character would. So these two units peel off, giving me time to focus down on the boss. I'm gonna get these two units to stand in the poison gas, while I will whittle down the boss Magnus here. The flag I plant right in front of him so that he attacks it. Boss is down to half. Get some damage in with my Nightingale. Inanna is not necessary on this map. I just have her. Otherwise, I would use Angel. Or you might not bring a healer because your units will almost all of them will die in one hit anyway. So you might as well not heal. Unlucky, he went for my Ballista rather than the flag. But that's okay. I ignite the gas up top, and then I deal with Magnus with Gloria in one shot. Now the rest of this is very straightforward, so I'm gonna speed it up. Because of my recruited assassin baiting these two melee units into the corner and he has evade on, he's pretty well protected, while the two melee enemies are in the gas getting exploded every couple of turns. Yeah, so I ignite the gas there. That did a huge amount of damage. There's fire on the ground, which is going to slow down these two melee units, but I'm just going to go directly in for the kill, and that's it. Really, really interesting map, really fun. Took me a few tries to do. 8-5, however, took me a lot of tries, and it was very difficult, but you'll see that my team comp is actually the most interesting. There are 0 legendary units. There's also no healer, because at this stage, any enemy will sneeze on you and kill you in one shot. So you actually don't need any healers in basically past floor 7 if you're at a low level, like I am. And then another thing you'll notice is that there are a lot of seeker units. So this guy here, Stinger, is a seeker unit. The recruited assassin is a seeker. And that's like a key thing about this map, is you need some mobility to abuse the terrain on the map. So let's go right into it and show you, because I don't want this video to go on too long. So this is a brutal map, and one of the key strategic points of interest on the map is this fountain. The reason why this fountain is important is that it's basically a natural choke point for these 3 melee units. And so you want to dance around this fountain as long as possible so that you can kill the 3 melee units, so that you can deal with the other threats more easily. The second interesting point about this map is this alleyway down here, which is also a natural choke point you want to take advantage of. This is a choke point as well on the right-hand side, but there aren't that many placements here, so it's not that relevant right now. And then the third interesting feature about this map is its height. This height makes it so that certain units can attack these melee units without the fear of retaliation. And that's why I brought all these Seeker units, and also why I brought Abyss. Because this guy, this Vladarian Scout, Abyss, and also Nightingale and Stinger all have abilities that can reach a very high height. And that's needed to basically abuse the height difference, so that I can attack them and they can't attack me. Abyss does very little damage on this map, but I brought her mainly because she has high speed. So she's going to be the first unit to act, which is important because I need her to move down to the underside of the fountain so that suppression gets peeled off and attacks the bottom right corner, ideally. And she does some AoE damage as well and debuffs, which, if I'm lucky, will slow the movement of these melee units, making it easier for me to attack them. So this map is a lot easier to do when you have Beryl, because she has a firewall where you can take advantage of this fountain area and basically create a ring of fire, and the melee units will just walk around the fountain and die from the dots. So my main game plan is to deal with these melee units first. And here I show you how I'm taking advantage. So these two Seekers have the jump ability, and so they can go up and down these heights, whereas most other units can't. I get a clutch firebomb in there from Nightingale, one of my most favorite units. So this firebomb is going to be very clutch to deal with these melee characters. Yeah. See how much damage they're taking with the laceration debuffs dots that my Seekers have put on. I didn't talk about this Outlaw Archer. He's here because, yeah, as you saw, he activated the boulder, killing one of the units. He's also here to deal as much damage to these these units on the top right, on the upper side of the map. Now, he has a bear trap that would have been good to place on this bridge or in front of it, but I didn't spec into that skill. But so if you haven't spec'd into it yet, make sure you get that ability, because it's in retrospect a lot better than whatever ability he has now. So so he's important because he has a level 2 move down ability, which makes it so that the units only can move one square. And through that choke point, basically he basically delays these 3 units for a really long time, allowing me to focus on these threats on the bottom level. Yeah, so he uses it there. And so this enemy unit, the recruited Axeman, is only going to be able to move one square, as you can see. There's a 1 next to this boot icon. And so My archer is going to be safe from the melee attacker, but not from the crossbowman that's coming up. But his main goal is to deal some damage and delay. Suppression here is very hardy, but the main threat is almost dead. I think the archer will die here. Oh, almost. So yeah, taking advantage of the height. Okay. Archer gets blasted out of existence. But he did his job. He did a lot of damage. He delayed those 3 units. Now all that's left is suppression at the bottom. I'm bringing my recruited assassin up to either bait him to move into his direction or use my assassin's hook ability, hook shot, to move suppression back and reset his movement, basically. Stinger just tickles him a little bit. And then a clutch firebomb, restricting the movement of suppression and dealing that essential dot damage. 700 a pop. 1850 on that last proc on laceration. $600 damage from this, which isn't bad. Here I see an opportunity to kill these 3 units, and I'm going to take it. Reset suppression's movement. And then my stinger should kill him here. 2,000 damage. You might be wondering how my stinger did that much damage. So stinger has this ability called Settlement of the Hanged Man. When a unit is dying, he deals additional scaling 30% of the target's HP, piercing damage. Piercing damage cuts through any defense, so that's how he does so much damage to these big HP boss units. Basically, when their HP gets lower than this tick mark here, he's going to deal enhanced damage that cuts through defense, which is really great with his passive trait, which at the end of every turn, he deals damage automatically to whichever unit is nearby that has the hang mark. I haven't seen any other content creators use Stinger, so I really recommend him. He's one of my favorite units. I really like the flavor of the Hanged Man in general. And the fact that the Hanged Men have a lot of dots make them very good in the tower. Firebomb here from Nightingale, which is clutch in this choke point. This crossbowman is a real threat, but he's just not dying. And there he finally goes. 1 unit left, Samantha. So she can easily one-shot multiple units. She almost kills my Nightingale right there. So I have to abuse... Basically what's going through my mind right now is I have to abuse line of sight and get her in her vulnerability window, which is when she starts channeling the ability. I have to get in as much damage as I can, because I'm already at round 10 out of 15. She can one-shot my units at range, almost one-shot them, and then she's still at full life, so time is ticking on the clock. I have no healer. I have to basically do it now or lose the match. So that's my mentality. Okay, so she's channeling. This is my window for getting as much DPS in. So applying all the dots here. Let's see how much the dots do. So about 3,000 there. 2,000 from Nightingale. 900 from the Scout. Getting those melee attacks in because I'm gonna lose if I don't kill her right now, basically. Stinger going in. He should be proccing that dying ability now. Settlement of the Hangman. So 2,000 damage. So this is it. And another clean finish from Stinger. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful to you. I'll go into some of my favorite units for tower pushing at a deficit in a separate video, because this video has already gone on very long. But hopefully what you learn in this video is basically how to analyze the terrain and how to win. And then also how to use the terrain to win with low rarity units that rely on dots, height differential, to cut through enemies' high defenses, and to protect yourself from their attacks that will one-shot you. Hopefully that was helpful. Hope to see you in the game. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help. Thanks a lot, and see you next time. Take care.